At the age of 6, a young boy named John was abducted from his parents on his homeworld of Eridanus II to begin his brutal training on the planet of Reach. The training would turn him into the finest warrior humanity had ever known, the Master Chief. John knew full well that the abduction of children for a secret government project was highly unethical and immoral, and he would not ever wish the same treatment on another child. But John was proud, immensely proud of what the Spartan 2 program had made of him, though he had little recollection of his life before he was taken and turned into a Spartan. Unlike some of the other Spartans, John did not have a bad upbringing. While he was fiercely competitive in the school playground, borderline bullying other children to be the best at whatever game they would play, he was not a bad child, and had good parents and friends that he looked out for. After returning to Earth after the destruction of Alpha Halo and Operation First Strike, the Prophet of Regret had arrived at Earth with an expeditionary force that hoped to find a portal to the Ark. But Regret did not expect to find himself at the birthplace of humanity. After a fierce space battle and many Covenant ships destroyed along with the second assault carrier, Regret's ship smashed through the human blockade to the surface of Earth, where the Covenant made landfall in the Kenyan city of New Mombasa. With Master Chief on a mission to capture or kill the Covenant Hierarch, he made his way through the streets of New Mombasa. After arriving at the Kilindini Park Cultural Centre, himself along with Marines Corporal Palmer, not to be confused with Spartan Palmer.
It's tight quarters on the other side, sir. Use this.
And Private First Class Sullivan found themselves in the midst of a small garrison of Covenant troops, primarily grunts and jackal snipers. Additionally, there were several destroyed warthogs, though 2 were still serviceable. After effortlessly punching a bloody hole through the first jackal's head, Chief and the Marines planned to use the warthogs to reunite the Marines with the rest of their platoon, and also so John could deal with the Scarab in the near vicinity. After raining gunfire down on the grunts and jackals, Master Chief, Palmer and Sullivan mounted the warthogs, a Gauls variant, where they made their way through the cultural centre to their rendezvous point. The Gauls hog gunner, Palmer, made quick work of a squad of elites and a pair of ghosts, and with one pull of the trigger sending around at Mach 40 speeds through the ghost plasma compartment, then cutting clean through the adjacent elite officer, with the second Ghost Rider left to burn in agonising plasma flame. After a short drive and the obliteration of an elite too eager to board the Warthog, Master Chief, Palmer and Sullivan arrived at the Palace Hotel, where the rest of the Marine platoon had turned the hotel into a fortified position. The mission up until this point was unchanged, and would remain so. It was not uncommon for John to be on a mission and faced with unexpected circumstances, and this mission would be no different. John made his way up the hotel stairs where he met Lieutenant Parissa. John gave her a sitrep of the situation regarding Wraiths and the nearby Scarab, though the lieutenant was busy with her TACpad. John at first glance thought she was examining a battlefield sketch, but a second glance revealed it was a personal photograph. He wanted to tell the lieutenant not to put a personal image on a TACpad, but a third glance at the image revealed it was a photograph of himself at the age of 6, on the beach of a lake, with a raven-haired girl of the same age. The Spartan was stunned. He remembered the day it was taken. In the image, both John and Parissa were laughing due to John's father making funny antics while Parissa's father snapped the picture. John dwelled. The memories were vivid enough that it was as if the photograph was taken only days earlier. But John had not given himself the luxury of thinking back to a life he had 30 years ago before his conscription. Parissa apologised to John, referring to him as Chief, not actually knowing it was her childhood friend stood before him, but she clearly cherished the memory. Parissa explained that the boy had saved her life that day at the beach when she went too far into the water, and then afterwards, the boy had promised to marry and take care of her, though she remarked how her childhood friend died only a few weeks later, and that she kept the image with her to give her the feeling that he was still watching over her. She didn't realise it, but the boy in the photo was right there in front of her, looking over his childhood friend who he had promised to spend his life with. John stood silent, his breath stunted, heart racing, and his mind running rampant with memories of a past and a future that could have been. But he could not bring himself to rekindle the relationship with Parissa. Partly due to doing so would reveal the abhorrent nature of the Spartan 2 program, the abduction of children, and their replacement with terminally ill Flash clones. But more so, because he could not retain a relationship with Parissa, and he could not rob her of her childhood memories. John did not like to make promises he could not keep, and made every effort to avoid doing so. Parissa generated a terrain diagram and gave the TACpad to John. She explained how she was setting up a comprehensive solution to incoming wraiths, inventory, and a scarab, which she knew John, the Master Chief as she thought, would come in handy to deal with such a machine. She couldn't see it, but John smiled beneath his visor. And that concludes this lore video on John's brief reunion with his childhood friend, Parissa. Thank you for tuning in. Leave a like if you enjoyed this video, and keep in the loop with more Halo content by hitting the bell icon and subscribing to Thunderbuddy. And until next time, Spartans, this is Josh, signing out.